What's up? This is Jeremy with Uppercut. I'm back with part 2 of this mixing series with Lead Incorporated's Inner Circle. I spent some time mixing on my speakers, my Calis, and I can't mix on headphones. My mixes won't translate well. You'll get it out to the car and it sounds like crap. I'm sure everyone that's ever mixed a song has dealt with that. For me, it was all room treatment. I took the time to figure it out, and I'm pretty much there. But anyway, I spent the morning mixing this, and if you want to hear how it sounded before I mixed it, there's a link down below. Give me a like and a sub, or leave me a comment, or even talk some smack. Anything, just get some interaction going here. Anyway, here's the mix as it stands right now. Like I said, check out the other videos so you know what I'm talking about and how far it's come. I think I'm getting pretty close to that reference track. Anyway, let's find out how I got there. Let's dive in. Alright, here we are back in the box. Let's just let this play and I'll kind of show you around. Quite a difference, wouldn't you say? That's without my processing. Here's the drums with my processing. These drums were already in really good shape. They were recorded super well. So I really didn't add all that much. And let's break it down and see what you think. As you can see, I've added virtual tape machine literally at the first insert for every track. Basically the same settings on every track, a little bit, differences here and there, but it gives it that tape saturation. And I've also got virtual mix rack on pretty much every track to get my analog summing going on with this SSL Brit 4KE that I love so much. And on most of the drums, I'm using this FG dynamic because the gate on it is just killer. It's just great. Here, let's check out that gate. This is one of Slate's newer plugins, but it just kind of completes that SSL sound that I love. And the gate on it is mainly what I use. I'm not even kicking any compression on this. But watch when I turn the gate off. Hear all that cymbal bleed? And then just turning it on. Little top end here on the 10K to give it some top end smack. Take away some beater noise, some mids. And I'm not even pumping the bottom on this. And that's just that one kick. So that's what I thought. I have my gate turned off. So let's hear that whole kit again. First off, on the bus, the only other compressor I really have on this is Reacomp on the snare. The classic rock setting, modern rock. Take away 6 dB, give 7 back. Real simple EQ and lots of bottom end on that snare, but we'll get to that in a minute. On my drum bus here, I have parallel compression working with this FG Gray. Just really brings out the crack of that snare. And also on the snare, I have a nice plate reverb, which is just the A plate in Verb Suite Classics. Huge difference. And that is the actual snare drum. The only trigger I used to enhance this kit at all was, of course, Steven Slate trigger, but I only put it on the kick. And as you can see, it's not MIDI, it's triggered. So I also put triggers on the toms because this session came with triggers for the toms in the kick and the snare. I didn't use the snare. I thought the snare was fine like it was. But let me find some of these tom hits. Sound pretty good, so I'll remove the processing on all of them. That's how they sounded. And with the gates that I showed you earlier and triggers that I got from Steven Slate trigger, I'm using just Quick Tom 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, and it's just enough to give it that extra push. It doesn't sound processed and it doesn't sound like a robot. With those ghost notes, that's why I didn't want to use a trigger on the snare. Most drummers that play ghost notes actually want their snare sound, so I left it exactly like that and just gave it a lot of reverb. And it gave it the smack that I needed for the snare to poke out of the mix. Check it out. After that, on my master bus, I have Bus Glue Mix Lively. We're just rocking that. I'm gonna turn on and off some of this stuff so you can hear it. If you watch over here where I'm clicking, right here where the mouse is, I'm gonna toggle these off one by one to show you my master bus processing. For me, that's key. If you disengage anything on your master bus and your mix just falls apart, you're going to have problems getting your mix to translate. So the biggest difference maker on there was, of course, the analog summing and, of course, virtual tape machine. Just right there with the VCC, because I have the VCC on the same setting on every track, but as you can see on the track setting, well, sorry, I grabbed a bus. Let me grab something else. There. That is a track, just the bass DI track. As you can see, I've got the actual track VCC on the track, but I've also got the bus VCC on all my buses and the master bus. And after it combines together, check out just this one subtle difference that gives it that vibe that I love so much. listening on headphones, you might not even be able to tell that difference, but if you are, you can totally tell. Now let's toggle off the virtual tape machine and the whole virtual mix rack, and I'll show you what the vibe that Slate just gives. On my master that's in my VMR, I could attenuate that, but I love the sound of these plugins, so I'm going to let them sing. I've only got one on the bottom here, not even one on the top. 170 on the 12K, taking 2 out of 4. One on the top there, one on the top there, and one at 432, which if you do some research is a very happy frequency to add to your mix. There's a lot of those frequencies which I tend to sneak in there that are pleasant frequencies that humans just like. And then on my digital EQ, nothing. Normally I would have to make some moves, and I might later when I go to master this need to add some EQ before the compressor, but right now this mix is pretty balanced, and I'll show you. On the guitars, I have Tone Force Jeff Loomis on the heavier side for the amp sims. And on the trippier side, let me solo this guy out. And then in the middle, I also have, it's Jeff Loomis. And then on the other side, there was only 3 DIs on this, and I just made them all chunky. I also panned these 2 DIs because they were playing at the same time. I would have liked to have had 4 of each, or at least 2 of each, making it a 4 pair, but can't be picky. They gave me all these amp sounds, so. And going into a bus there, got a little bit of distressor taking off some of the, just a little bit. It's all parallel. I hardly ever compress anything fully, but I have been using this Wanasak bus glue just enough to take the chunks out of all guitars. It just rocks. You can see it's just taking the load. It gives the top end a little bit of crispiness that I like too, but mainly I have it set to where it's not adding volume. It's just taking out the chugs, using the chug slayer. That thing is awesome. On these vocals, I've really processed one of them and then left one of them pretty unprocessed. On the processed one, I used Howard Benson vocals because, yeah, why not? And I have 2 EQs before it. Mainly, I'm a control freak, and I like to cut certain frequencies on the one that's not compressed so much. Let me get to a spot with vocals.
I'm here, I'm not feeling like I should. A stranger.
This is the one that I have fairly unaffected. I mean, it's compressed and de-essed, but no spatial effects, reverb, just a little bit of saturation. I'll show you the saturation bus in a minute.
I'm here, I'm not feeling like I should. A stranger in my own world.
And see, I kind of go overboard on that one and then blend the two together.
I'm here, I'm not feeling like I should. A stranger in my own world. Everything just flows around me. I'm drifting away.
And how I mix is kind of old school. I use 3 reverbs, 2 delays, and saturation, and that's it. If I need any other spatial effects other than that, then it's just not going to sound like me. On those, I have a plate reverb, Verb Suite Classics, my favorite reverb. I got a drum reverb, which is just a room reverb. I have a vocal plate, which I send all my vocals to, my leads. I have repeater on a quarter. I have them kind of offset feedbacks and color on the echoes, so the echoes are colored and kind of sound like they're coming out of an AM radio, which you hear on the radio constantly. Then I have one called a throw, which is the same kind of delay, same cool coloration and everything, but it's on a half. So when I want to throw something down a hallway, that's my throw. And then I have a saturation plugin, and this is a free plugin. It's one of my favorites because you can blend tape and tube saturation and make it your own vibe. I like the Slate saturation also, but there's a ton of people using it just like me. So this just gives my effects chain here my thumbprint. Which, if you're going to be just like everyone else, why would you be doing this? And then this is what I call my rear bus, which I learned from Andrew Ships. And it's just a compressor all by itself. I send everything, every one of my buses, I send them all, this rear bus, I send them all to the rear bus except for the drums. So let's hear what that sounds like by itself.
I'm here, I'm not feeling like I should. A stranger in my own world.
And on this, you just want everything almost right up the middle. Hitting around zeros. Not too much on the compression. No EQ. That little mix. And then we have a room mix and a saturation mix that are what I call my undermix. So that's how I start with what I call the undermix. Here is just my effects all soloed out all by themselves and the rear bus compression. For me, my settings are enough. If I don't go for that overproduced stuff, it's just not for me. I mix a lot of it, and I still mix it my way and get the same results. I can do the same with these 7 plugins that they can do with 30.
I'm here, I'm not feeling like I should. Stranger in my own world. Everything just flows around me. I'm drifting away. I'm drifting away.
can sing, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm going to finish mixing this and mastering it, and I'll have a follow-up video with the final product. Keep watching my videos. Give me a like and a sub, please, man. It helps a lot. Get with Uppercut. Get knocked out.